and welcome back to another edition of Metcalf's Movie Journal. This is the show where I do quick reviews for the movies that I watch, give them a score out of 10, and then add them to my list. So let's see what movie we're reviewing today. On March 11th, I watched Astra, which came out in 2019. And it feels like I've been watching a lot of sci-fi lately, so here comes another, albeit purer sci-fi film than the previously reviewed Passengers. But if I complained about that one focusing too much on the romance instead of the science, this one definitely proved that sticking just with the science doesn't always mean it's going to be better. This was quite simply a boring movie, and honestly, I already think that 2001: A Space Odyssey, as great as it was also a bit boring at times. But at least that had Hal and the great "I'm afraid I can't do that" line to look forward to, as well as that crazy over-the-top ending. But Ad Astra had all of that long, boring journey to outer space with none of the payoff. Brad Pitt stars here as Roy McBride, and it was hard to watch him be so completely wasted on screen. Even his narration is bland and does nothing to help draw me into this super boring story. He has an amazing voice too, but in reality, nobody's voice is so good you'd actually want to listen to them read the phone book. That's just something fun to say, because the reality is there needs to be something worth reading, and this movie never gives that to him. He's on a search out in the far reaches of our solar system for his father, H. Clifford McBride. Terrible character names, by the way, played by Tommy Lee Jones. In the end, it builds and builds to the ultimate encounter between father and son, and the expectations really are high for the scene to provide some big conclusion to this long, boring journey, but it just leads to a giant anticlimax, and that ended up feeling a bit like a kick to the teeth. I can give this one a bit of credit for doing well with that show-don't-tell aspect that a lot of sci-fi films struggle with, building an interesting and believable future without blatantly trying to explain too much. Even with the narration, it never felt like we were being told too much directly, and that's probably because it mostly feels like the opposite was happening instead, with the vague narration and almost non-existent dialogue doing very little to explain anything meaningful. The most that can really be determined is that H. Clifford has gone a little space crazy in his desperate search for alien life, to the point that he killed his crew for mutinying and trying to turn the ship around when they didn't find anything. That's honestly the movie that should have been made here. Watching Tommy Lee go crazy and butcher an entire crew would have been way more exciting than anything we got to see. The only reason to even send Roy out after his father seems to be he has some sort of dangerous as hell weapon aimed squarely back at Earth, which again, I don't know how it was supposed to ever help him contact the aliens, but I guess none of that is important since all this is clearly just a metaphor for a son trying to contact his father, so I shouldn't let a little thing like details get in the way of a good story. I'm going to spoil the ending now, but really I think I'm more just saving you the trouble, because the ultimate conclusion here is that there simply isn't any alien life out there. The message then becomes that it's all about how we treat each other here and now, because here and now is all we got. It's a fine enough message morally and ethically, but in terms of an idea for a movie, it can really only result in a boring one, because nobody wants to be strung along like this, only to be led to a complete dead-end ending like that. I know I really like Brad Pitt though, because he somehow makes it easier to sit through an otherwise garbage movie. I ended up giving it a 2 out of 10, and it landed at number 1,324 on my list, putting it right here, in between Jason X and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching another edition of Metcalf's Movie Journal. Be sure to click like and subscribe for new videos every week. And if you have a movie that you really want me to watch, be sure to drop me a comment.